This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We begin hour number 2. It is VSiN By The Books on this Memorial Day edition of Hope everybody's out there having a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. We appreciate everybody that has served our great country to make this such a special weekend for everybody out there. Great conversation with Cody Decker in hour number 1. Going to have Will Hill join us in hour number 3, along with Rachel Dory north of the border to catch up on all things Stanley Cup Finals. But let's get to it. Hour number 2, our highlights and headlines.
Help your bottom line with today's highlights and headlines.
Jensen, the big highlight today in headlines certainly is the cat attack from big Karl Anthony Towns. 4 points through 3 quarters. Knicks are getting blown out. Cat goes for 20 in the fourth. And what I really liked, too, was the attitude. Yes, he knocked down a couple threes, but there was some real, I'm taking it to the rack, and you're not going to stop me, some and ones on dunks. And he gets 20 in the fourth. The Knicks come back and maybe save their season potentially here, because you can't go down 0-3. It's never happened in the history of the NBA postseason to come back from an 0-3 deficit. So they avoid that. No home team has yet won in the Eastern Conference Final to date. So what do you make of the Knicks? Do you really think, obviously it breathes some life in them, and it didn't have to be Jalen Brunson. It didn't have to be 40 from Brunson to win. They do it behind 24 from Cat and 20 in the fourth.
Well, first and foremost, when you look at the DNA of the Knicks, and we felt not only getting into this postseason, but how they played in beating the Boston Celtics, say, okay, that's a team that has championship DNA. They saw all the attention, all the lights, all the hype. And as a former athlete, I can tell you that there are times where you read the headlines and you feel like, all right, we're better than what we are. So the collapse of game 1 and what happened in game 2, that was what we were focused on. How do they bounce back, if at all, in game 3? And it was dire straits for a while, right? So, you have the comeback, period. So they turned the trick on Indiana, which has done it many times already this postseason. Secondly, getting it across the line in the fashion that you did it in the fourth quarter, I think now, Dave, gives you an added boost into game 4. Because, in using your UFC terms, right, you got the Pacers down to the mat, all right? We would say the Knicks, a bit more of a submission fighter, the way that, okay, we're pretty top heavy. We think we can get this one, and we don't want it to go to the Cards. The longer this series goes is better for the Pacers. So from a fatigue standpoint, you now have kind of a little bit of the upper hand, but you have to follow through with it, right? You have to be able to get a guillotine. You have to be able to really impose the physicality of your starting 5. That, to me, is the most important part heading into game 4. You cannot let off the gas if you're the Knicks, because the Pacers will have a bit of trepidation coming in saying, we had a chance to go up 3-0. We were up double digits. We blew that one. That's in the back of their mind. No question about it.
One, I love the UFC analogies. That's always going to get me excited when you talk guillotines, especially on a Monday. And then you mentioned it here with the fatigue factor. I look at the series price. The Knicks are plus $1.90 right now to win this series against the Pacers. In the futures market, Knicks are 10-1 to win the NBA title. So plus $1.90, 10-1, plus $1.80. It's coming down. Money's coming in on the Knicks. So that's already moved down 10 cents here. I'm starting to look at this thing and think, if you really think the Knicks are going to win this series, that they really have breathed new life into it, should they be 10-1 against OKC and or Minnesota? We all believe it's going to be OKC. Like, that feels like a playable number if you really think the Knicks are live in this one and they can gut check this thing and will it out, get that guillotine, submit your opponent. That's what they do. They did suffocate Indiana defensively in the second half. They did. So, and I saw Wes Reynolds tweet out there, run them out, Pacers, when they were up big in the third. They didn't run them out because it's almost like they tried to bleed them out instead of run them out. And sometimes you try to bleed that clock. That does not work well. They were getting late in possessions. It worked to the Knicks' advantage. So I'll be curious to see what the tone and tenor looks like for Game 4 to begin that series. But it does feel like the Knicks might be live all of a sudden. Are the Dallas Stars still live in the West? Because the other highlight and headline is that Stuart Skinner, Game 3, did it in Game 2. He's getting better earlier in series now. 36 saves for Stewart. Connor McDavid does what he does. 2 goals in this one. Oilers just beat up Dallas 6-1. They lead the series 2-1. They are the favorites right now. Obviously, the big favorites here to come out of the West and get a rematch potentially with Florida. They're up 3-0. We mentioned the discrepancy that there's basically a 25-cent difference between Edmonton at plus $1.50 to win the Cup and Connor McDavid to win the Conn Smythe at plus $1.75. I mean, would you take the extra pennies here in the quarter, or do you think Stuart Skinner at 60-1 could somehow get into this conversation?
Maybe, but I'm with you, right? It just feels from a narrative base, and you already know my stance. I am officially out on any awards markets as far as putting my own money. We will advise, we will give you our thoughts.
That's right.
But I will not be putting it down until I see transparency 100%. So to your idea here, Stuart Skinner 60-1. All right, if you want the lotto ticket, that's still very much alive here. But I'll go back to what Jonathan Davis told us last week, too. And I think Rachel Dory will probably say the same, but anxious to get her thoughts later in the 9 o'clock Eastern hour. Draisaitl at 12-1, still a huge factor here. And again, we've only had one quote-unquote signature performance here from Connor McDavid. It did have the recency bias tag with it from yesterday. But if you're looking for a little bit more value, probably Draisaitl at 12-1 would be the way I'd go.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think Stewart's been great in big games. That's certainly in the last couple of rounds here. But 60-1, 100-1 if you wanted to play it then. I don't know that 60-1 right now it's a long shot, and that's why it is 60-1. Derek Skubal was sensational again, and he did those Skubal snacks get home yesterday with Detroit. And an easy 5-0 win yesterday over the Guardians. But Jensen, when you look at the reigning defending Cy Young Award winner, and sometimes we talk about these awards markets where there is fatigue in them, I don't know that there would be fatigue when it comes to Skubal. 13 Ks, his first complete game. Now he's going all 9. I mean, it's his to lose to go back-to-back. He just feels like right now the best pitcher in the game, is he?
What's really intriguing, okay, and we'll talk about this coming up in Daily Diamond, is from a metrics or an analytics standpoint. He's not even in the top 3.
Whoa.
As far as where wins above replacement are. And right now he's 5th. He's at 2.2. I'm not going to reveal who the top 3 are, but Garrett Crochet is tied with him at 2.2. There are 3 better guys as far as wins above replacement in that iteration, if you're very much a stat, head and looking at it that way. Here's what I would give you, okay? So right now, odds-on favorite, minus $1.10 at DraftKings to win the award, which I think at this point in the year should give you an Aaron Judge-like feel of the start to his season. Now, I am very, very intrigued from how that series overall. Guardians took 3 of 4. So they needed the Tarek Skubal game yesterday, Detroit did, to avoid a 4-game sweep at home. Okay? Anxious to see second, third time around the division if some of these central teams in the Guardians or Royals Twins make their adjustments, and they will, what that looks like. I'm still looking at some of the double-digit guys here. Nathan Eovaldi, 12-1. DeGrom, 12-1. Chris Bubich is at 30-1 on DraftKings. There's still some guys you could add to the portfolio, but let's not bury the lead. Tarek Skubal has been incredibly dominant to start this year.
Okay, let me do this because I see this a lot in the NFL. So I want to pick your brain as a former closer. And you're going to say, well, why would I ask you about hitting when it comes to Skubal? Because you see this a lot. Well, they'll have offensive coordinators then coach the D-line because they know the offense so well, so they want to get their expertise on the other side of the ball. If you had to stay into the dish, what would you do? What would the right approach be to Skubal? As you mentioned, the second, third times you start to see him now through the league here. What do you think it is? Is it do you try to wait him out? Are you trying to take away a pitch? What do you think is the way to attack Skubal, if at all?
Yeah, so the gut reaction to me, Dave, is you don't want to wait because he's so prolific with swing and miss. And I think that, to me, is probably what stands out the most. He does lead the American League in strikeouts per 9, and it's over 12-1, or over 12 per 9, I should say. And he's about, I think he's about a strikeout clear of Rodon, who is number 2. And that in and of itself, he's at 12. Everyone else behind him is at 10 or 9, which is unbelievable. To me, you're going to try and get the first good heater. But dude's throwing 103 to finish the game yesterday.
Oh, boy.
Good luck, man. I mean, good luck. But I would be action early to answer your question. I'd try and get something in the first 2 pitches. After that, tip your cap, man, if you put the ball in play.
Ambush, right? You want to go up there looking. If you get that, even if it's 103, try to turn it around if you can. If you're looking for it, try to ambush him. But good luck, as you mentioned, against Scooball. You can start your day every day with an edge and a game plan right here on the network because we got the VSiN Daily Morning Bets podcast. It's your first look at the day's betting lines, sharp action, market movement in just 15 minutes. You're going to get everything you need to know to make smarter wagers and stay ahead of the line moves all before your morning coffee's even gone. I like to have 2 cups, so I can really take my time with it. Hosted by VSiN's team of trusted betting experts, the Daily Morning Bets podcast is fast-focused and built for bettors just like you. Listen to the VSiN Daily Morning Bets podcast wherever you get your podcasts or get it on the VSiN Watch app. The sharpest way to start your betting day is with the VSiN Daily Morning Bets podcast. Pretty darn cool that is now part of your app process right there. So again, if you've not become a VSiN Pro subscriber, you need to do so because it gives you the app access that you have each and every day. Highly recommend you do that to start your day over a good cup of Joe. When we come back, the Daily Diamond, and Jensen, you're so good at this. You've got a Freedom Parlay today on Memorial Day edition. Cannot wait to get that. That's up next here on VSiN By The Books.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We continue the Memorial Day edition of VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis here with you on this beautiful Monday morning. Cannot wait for this one because you're so good at the themes. And certainly today with Memorial Day, you've outdone yourself. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Today's edition of the Daily Diamond. A lot can change in a month's time. Right? And so I think, Jensen, you're going to begin this today kind of in a time lapse. Going to look back at where we were a month ago and then where we are today. What do you have for the people?
We are not social media influencers, but we probably could steal a line that would be apropos for this. So how it started, how it's going. We look at the end of April, right? And I just picked 2 divisions that I thought were very fascinating from the teams involved. So, of course, your Mets, out as the pace car, 19-8 there towards the end of April. The Phillies 14-13, kind of middling. Same way for the National League West, right? The upstart Giants. Dodgers kind of tripped up a little bit after such a hot start, and the Padres were one of the surprise teams, okay? Well, now how it's going a month later as we begin play today, the Phillies in line for the best record in May. Have vaulted into first place. Mets, though, by virtue of a series victory over the Dodgers this weekend, keeping some pace, but have fallen a bit off the path. And then really, it's just been kind of a relay race here in the National League West. The Dodgers ascending back to the top, but only by a game over the Giants. And to think the Padres, even with that 6-7 game losing streak, are still where they are, 7 games above 500. Right there, Dave, that could be the majority, if not the title contenders from the National League in October. Those teams on your screen, if you're watching at VSiN.com, VSiN Watch app, Phillies, Mets, Dodgers, Giants, Padres for the foreseeable future, Dave, those could be 5 of the 6 teams outside of who wins the National League Central.
Big series this week in the NL East with the Phillies and the Braves. And the reason why I mentioned that, Braves have already fallen back again to 8.5 back. Like they make some inroads, and then all of a sudden they fall 2 games back. Even though they got Ronald Acuna back, he gets the home run, his first AB over the weekend. It's fantastic. They're plus 650 to get in this race. I don't want to say it's a 2-horse race there between the Mets and Phillies because, as you just laid out, a lot can change in 30 days. But it's early, but that does feel like a big series this week for Atlanta, doesn't it, against Philadelphia?
Certainly. Yes, and the Braves now just minus $1.05 to make the postseason on DraftKings. So you're looking at some very, very affordable prices. Giants and Padres both $1.15. So again, great time to buy in on the National League postseason picture.
Yeah, kind of like where your head's at with that one. Okay, let's get to it. We always say war. What's it good for? Absolutely nothing. Huh? Say it again. What is it good for in baseball, though, Jensen?
Well, some surprise, not only individual teams, but how some individual performances from players. So the theme is surprise, surprise, because as we look at that wins above replacement metric, talked about Pete Crow Armstrong with Cody Decker in just an amazing start to his year. He leads all National League position players. Yeah, Dave, all National League position players, 3.3 wins above replacement.
Unbelievable.
I thought some other surprises were fascinating too, and this is why we'll bring it full circle in the Tarek Skubal conversation. First of all, Jesus Luzardo, great year thus far coming over from Miami into the Phillies rotation. He leads National League pitchers in wins above replacement at 2.8. Chris Bubich was the name I wanted to bring up to you. So if you go back and you look through WAR for pitchers in the American League, Bubich, your leader. Okay, Max Fried is 2.8. Nathan Eovaldi's 2.5, and that's why we come back to Garrett Crochet, Tarek Skubal. Tarek Skubal, your betting favorite for the American League Cy Young. Chris Bubich is that's a hell of a value add if you think that his season continues. Think about where Mike Palm talked about last year having Seth Lugo in pocket. And, I mean, for 5 months, looked really, really strong. Chris Bubich, here again, another Kansas City Royal starting pitcher at 27-1 to win the American League Cy Young. Not saying that gets home, but that's a heck of a value add if he continues what has been a phenomenal 2 months of his season.
I played the Royals yesterday because it was Bubich Day. I'm with you. I feel like the market's been a little bit late to react to how good he's been. 7 innings, 2 hits, only 1 earned run allowed, 2 walks, 9 Ks. It's a lower than ERA to 1.45. So I'm with you. I kind of look at Bubich and say, can it get back? Can you really win it at 30-1? Well, you don't root for things like injuries to happen. They can happen. They have happened. That would not necessarily be a bad ticket to have if he can keep this going. But you wonder about exposure because you and I talk about it. That's why we don't bet these markets a lot. You can bet them out there. We're trying to find you value. But for you and I, Jensen, I think we stay away from these markets because they're not talking about a Chris Bubich, but they should be because your points and your numbers certainly align with that maybe those numbers are actually even better a little bit than Skubal's right now. Okay, let's get to it because it is a holiday. It is Memorial Day. Love this holiday. And you've come up with a parlay for the people today that might pay handsomely. What do you have?
Yeah, so land of the free, home of the brave. And so I love how our esteemed producer, Brandon Valesky, coined this. It is the Freedom Parlay in honor of Memorial Day. So I tried to do it as well as I could in finding teams that would match up with all 6 branches of our great armed forces. So the easy one was the Army Rangers, right?
Yeah.
Texas minus $1.62. I was going back and forth with the Angels and the Royals, so I left the Navy just because the shades of blue
the Navy
right
blue.
there. So the Navy Royals minus $1.22 home favorite. Space Force, for people who don't know, come on, baby. The Space Force Guardians, and God, we're going to need some extraterrestrial help here in Cleveland against the LA Dodgers and Yoshi Yamamoto today. Plus $1.54 with Gavin Williams on the hill. That could be fun. The Coast Guard Rays, down there in Florida, in Tampa, minus $1.25, short home favorite. The Air Force Angels. We're going to need some high fly in there out west against the Yankees, plus $1.40. Jack Hanowitz going to be the starter there for LA. And then we would be remiss if we did not mention the Marine Corps Mets for our man Dave Ross here. Almost a $3 favorite at home against. That's a pretty good one, right? All right, so if you're playing it on DraftKings, it's about 42-1 for all that to come home. If you are in a jurisdiction where you have FanDuel, they are providing a boost for Major League Baseball today, a 3-leg or higher parlay. And so if you put all those in, it's about 57-1 with the boost. Let freedom ring. Hey,
let's go.
Stranger things have happened.
No question. No question about it. It's like, again, the great scene in Rocky, the original. You want me to take a shot? Fine, I'll take a shot. Boom. Bartender takes a shot. Might have to take a shot at that Freedom Parlay today here at over 42-1 with that boost, well over 50-1. Okay, you are going to be on the road. We don't know where yet for the College World Series here, but what do you have and how are things starting to take shape as to where these regional sites will be?
All right, so for people now ready to parachute in for College World Series futures and betting, we have the 16 regional sites. where those regionals will take place beginning on Friday this week. So the field of 64, Dave, will get revealed at high noon Eastern time on ESPN2. We will find out where all 64 teams will be placed. What I did was I kind of went through the futures market and looked at not only some of the hosts, and we have all 16 of those for people watching on VSiN.com, VSiN Watch app. But let me give you some future for people that haven't jumped in yet. These are leans or kind of ideas you could add to your portfolio. My favorites here: Arkansas plus 475, LSU 5.5 to 1, Tennessee 7 to 1, North Carolina 10 to 1. Very strong potential draws they have, not only for the regionals but also the super regional opponents. I think from where their seeding will be, Dave, those are some teams that you can back. Very, very good overall teams. My Vanderbilt Commodores just won the SEC tournament yesterday. They are probably the inside track to be the number 1 overall seed.
Wow.
So you're telling me you could get the number 1 overall seed at 13 to 1? Wow, that feels like pretty good value there. Auburn 18 to 1. Coastal Carolina, who's been an upstart team this year, Dave, they will host in Conway, South Carolina there, 25 to 1. Florida, who will probably travel somewhere, they will not be a 1 seed, but could be a potential 2 seed at 35 to 1. And then our Cinderellas here, as we do find some dandies there in the basketball iteration, Dave, here are some ones to file away. Duke at 65 to 1 from the ACC. UC Irvine, who has been a darling all year, at 75 to 1. NC State, for at one point, was leading the ACC conference before a little tough finish to their year, 80 to 1. And also Miami of Florida, who will be a pain in whatever region if they do. They may be one of the last 4 teams into the field, but at 150 to 1, they got real hot at the end of the year to be in contention to be a host site. So those are some of my offers for people if they want to add or jump into the College World Series field. Those are about, 11, 12 teams that you can take a look at.
You know, we always love catching up with Lou Finicaro to talk UFC. We'll do that again this week, hopefully on Friday as well. But we always pick his brain, too, about college baseball because you and Lou have been all over this here for months leading up to it. There's other people on the network that do a great job. Is there still value in those numbers, right? Because I think a lot of people go, man, I missed the boat. I'm late to the party. Are they that late to the party? Do you think those numbers you gave out there obviously are still playable in your mind?
We will likely have ads tomorrow once the official bracket is revealed today, Dave, of a couple of different markets. So to make the College World Series versus winning the College World Series, there'll definitely be some valuable numbers we'll give out on tomorrow's show.
Fantastic, as always. Great edition of the Daily Diamond, as always. If you want to become a really sharper, better, betting splits can help you do that when you become a VSiN Pro subscriber. So get started for as little as $9.99 for your very first month. Just go to VSiN.com/subscribe. Access to Circa and DraftKings when you become a subscriber.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We continue VSiN By The Books on this Memorial Day. Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis here with you on this Monday morning. Cannot wait to get to the NFL season. I mean, it's just like you start turning the page in the calendar a little bit, and you get closer and closer. Circa Survivor announced last week, Circa Millions. It's going to be the biggest guarantees, certainly with Survivor. $15 million will be that guarantee here at Circa, which is just crazy to think about, especially when I win it this year. So just remember that, America. Jensen, let's talk about what's going to happen down there in Duval, as Liam Cohen said on his introductory press conference as the new head coach. This team, win total sitting at 7.5. That feels pretty lofty for a team that won 4 games a year ago. And I know we're trying to still figure out what you have in Trevor Lawrence. And I know Liam is supposed to be now the quarterback whisperer. When you look at the schedule, and I know your brain goes immediately to Circa Survivor in that context. But, Jensen, do I trust this team that Liam Cohen in year one, that this is going to be an 8-win team? The schedule doesn't look overly daunting, but still, that's a heck of a jump.
It is. Okay, so you and I always look at the division and say, all right, can they get to 3-3? Can they be 500 in a division where we believe the Texans will have a chip on their shoulder, much to prove there? We know that the Colts are trying to figure out their quarterback situation between Danny Dimes and Anthony Richardson. and the Titans were starting a rookie quarterback, Cam Ward. What will that look like? Maybe halfway through the year, because we want to give that a little time in acclimation period. So, yes, the survivor hat goes on, and we look at week 1. I say it every year, right? The first 2 weeks of the NFL season are the scariest that there can be from a survivor standpoint, because you got nothing to really go off of for week 1, and then you have serious overreaction in week 2. Now, I would love to fade Jacksonville in Cincinnati, and I am hoping that Cincinnati somehow loses to the Browns in week 1, and they'll be so motivated beyond all measure to get to even. But Dave, I can't for the life of me look at those first 6 weeks and find any confidence for the Jacksonville Jaguars whatsoever.
I'm with you. Again, the win total right now, sitting at 7.5, is juiced to the over at $1.25. I'm like, wait a minute, where are the 8 wins coming from? So if you're watching at VSiN.com right now, that first 1 through 6, you better win week 1. But if you play Jacksonville week 1 in your survivor, you've got some stones. I'll put it like that, because I'm with you, man. That is a stay away from me. And then you're going to Cincinnati. You're going to be an underdog at home against the Texans. Then you're going to San Francisco. And then you're hosting the Chiefs in prime time on Monday Night Football. And then you're hosting Seattle. That's not going to be any gimme. Maybe you're a point favorite in that one. Then you're going overseas to London, take on the Rams. You're going to be a big dog there if everything holds right now with injuries. Before you get that bye week, and then you're going on the road out here to Las Vegas. I know Vegas is thinking that's a win for them. And then you're going on the road to the Texans. Then you're hosting the Chargers. Then you're going on the road in Arizona. You're going to be dogs in probably, 9 of your first 10? I don't see 8 wins at all until you get to the right side of the schedule, and that's where it looks easier with the Titans and the Colts in their division. The Jets could be down at the Broncos. You're going to be a big dog there. You're going to be a dog at the Colts in Week 17 as well. And then hosting the Titans. Jensen, I just don't see it. You get plus money in the under. I think that's the way I'd go right now.
Okay, so here 2 things that jump out to me. Number 1, if you want Survivor, you hold Jacksonville for Week 14 at home against the Colts, because we know Indianapolis cannot win on the road in Jacksonville.
Right.
I mean, look at the last 10 years. It's been a house of horrors for the Colts there. I'll tell you what I do like. Just for the hell of it, I took a look at the splits for Week 1. Do we see either of these defenses really holding up either of these offenses early? Week 1, right? Okay, so kind of throw everything out. Liam Cohen, the new toys, the new ideas for Trevor Lawrence. Bryce Young, the crescendo to how they finished last year offensively, new additions to that offense this year. Can I interest you in the over, 45.5 in Week 1? 46 points between those two teams, that feels right? 23, 24 each? We could see it.
Feels very playable. And again, our esteemed producer, Brandon Valesky, putting this together, because the other team we're going to talk about is Carolina. So I see what you're doing there, Brandon. Very, very smart. So when you flip the page here to the Carolina side, right, and we're going to break them down here, as we're going to do every single team here in the NFL before we get done here in the next couple weeks, is Carolina's 3.5-point dogs in that Week 1 game at Jacksonville. That total you mentioned, 45.5. Right now, Jensen, I'd probably be leaning towards taking the points with Carolina in the 3.5. Their win total is a full game less than Jacksonville. It is also juiced to the over at $1.25. You're looking at the mirror, that A-Rod gif of looking at himself in the mirror, $1.25 at the over, plus $1.05 to the under here for Carolina. And I think I'd be more excited about this team in year number 2. And it feels like with the new coaching staff and Bryce Young taking those steps now going into year number 3 for Bryce, I kind of like that angle a little bit here. Can they get the outright win at a money line play plus $1.36 Week 1? Not mad at you. If you want to take Carolina down there in good weather in Duval, I think that's a solid play. The rest of the schedule, it's interesting because you're going to go to Arizona. You'll be a dog there. You're going to host the Falcons in Week 3. That'll be close. I would assume the Falcons, small favorites on the road for the ATL. You're going to be a dog in New England against Vrabel and what we think is a better New England team. You're probably going to be around a pick-em against the Dolphins, and you'll be a dog, I would believe, at home Week 6 against the Cowboys. What do you make of their overall schedule in Survivor and you're putting that hat on, where do you want to play them? Because they're going to be small numbers inside of a field goal. I think so. There's some winnable games, Jensen, but I do think they're going to be small dogs in a lot of them.
I would look at Week 5 home against Miami, and that would be the first place that I could legit target. I mean, you got 3 of 4 on the road to start. You and I both know we practice the no divisional matchups in Survivor,
right,
at least early until maybe you're forced into it later in the year, injury issues notwithstanding. But Week 5 would be the first spot I would look. Depending on where the Jets, and I would hate to do this on the road, but you may be forced into it depending on where things are. Not saying that you want to do it on the road in New York against the Jets, but let's see what Justin Fields looks like, okay, through the first 6 weeks. Maybe this thing is off the rails a little bit, no continuity on offense. Could you steal one on the road if you're forced into it? Outside of that, you're right. You're looking at second half of the year. If the Saints have tanked for Arch Manning potentially coming off the bye, again, we don't advocate for divisional matchups, but that would be one where you're thinking, okay, controlled environment in the dome. Who knows? They may be auditioning for next year. That might be a spot to steal a win as well.
You know, let's look at that Todd Bowles coaching tree a little bit in that Week 1 matchup here for Carolina and Jacksonville, because it's Dave Canales, year number 2 in Carolina. I dare I say a 5-12 team a year ago overachieved in year number 1 for Canales. And again, that's why it's projected now at 6.5. That's not as big a jump as Liam Cohen's going to be asked to do there in Jacksonville. Also a Todd Bowles disciple coming from Tampa Bay. So when you get that, like we see this a lot with Sean McVay against Kyle Shanahan, Jensen, they know each other, man, right? Like Canales and Cohen, they know each other. I almost think that might be a wash, and that gets me towards the point side in Carolina in 3.5. I think I'm talking myself into a Panthers play Week 1 here as we break this down. But like when you have that familiarity, does it kind of stalemate it? Because I know I know what you want to do.
Yeah,
right?
I think you just talked yourself into it. I think you did. Any interest whatsoever in the first home game? And I know it's a division game. Any interest Survivor-wise?
No, yeah. I don't think I could trust it. I'm with you on the Week 5, maybe against. Yeah. We'll figure out what the Dolphins look like, by the way, because there's another coach that could potentially be in the hot seat there, Mike McDaniel in Miami. So that'll be interesting there to see if they get off on the good foot. If they're rolling offensively again, maybe it's a stay away spot. But really, past that, I see what you're trying to do here. I mean, you could wait maybe to the Saints in the middle of the year. That could be a spot. But again, you're looking interdivision, and sometimes that's really dicey to do when it comes to Survivor. But you know what? Panthers Week 1, baby. Let's go Dave Canales. I'm taking the 3.5, and I'm going to play that 45.5 over as well. I like where your head's at there. And I do think Canales year 2, with what he was able to do year 1 with Bryce Young, I like that better than the unknown of Liam Cohen in his first game ever as a head coach. And we'll see what Trevor Lawrence amounts to and what that looks like in the new system. Again, Circa Survivor, if you're not in the contest, you want to be in the contest, but you don't live in Vegas, you got to check out the proxy services that are out there, because how would you like to play that Circa Survivor or Millions contest for free this year? You can do so. Winner Circle Proxy is giving away one free $1,000 entry each contest plus full proxy service. And get this, you're going to be paired with a VSiN host for strategy all season long. Enter now for your chance to win. All you have to do is go to winnercircleproxy.com/VSIN for your chance to win. That's winnercircleproxy.com/VSiN. Much more NBA is next right here, VSiN By The Books.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis here. Happy Memorial Day to everybody out there across our great country. We spent the better part of the break trying to get in because we are this is why we do the show. And we're talking about Carolina and Jacksonville. And that 3.5 number, Jensen, lock that up now. Because out here, I don't know if Mike Palm's secretly listening to us. We're going to have the great Mike Palm on Thursday. But 2.5's here at Circa. You couldn't get the 3.5. They won't even give you the 3, Jensen. Do you think they're listening to the programming and then they're moving the number knowing that we're giving out the 3.5 on Carolina?
I mean, it would shock me, highest rated morning show here. And yes, everyone wants to get their bets in early. It's a holiday. Everyone's trying to get their work done. Or if people are just waking up to us, they know what's up.
Mm-hmm. Just saying. Did find one rogue 3 out there over at the Westgate. But it was juiced minus $1.20 if you want to get Carolina. So 3.5's out there, America. We're telling you that's our Memorial Day shopping treat to you. You better hop in on that 3.5 now because you're probably not going to be there much longer. If you want to hop in on the Knicks, the big news over the night, of course, is the Knicks coming off the deck. They did it again, Jensen. Down 20 in the first half. They did this twice against Boston, which is still mind-blowing. They did that, the full complement of Celtics, down 20 in games 1 and 2 and come back and win those games on the road. The Knicks do it again, down 20 and come back and win 106-100. Cat, Karl Anthony Towns with 20 in the fourth quarter. Do you really think the Knicks, I do think they're live, and the numbers are showing it. Plus $1.90s, down plus $1.80s here in some of the marketplaces. It feels like the Knicks are getting hit a little bit. That this series now, Indiana really the chance to end it. Because, again, we've never seen in the history of the NBA playoffs a team come back from 0-3 and win. Hasn't happened. I don't think the Knicks were going to be the first if they had fallen behind 0-3. But now that it's 2-1, is that a playable number for you at plus $1.80 in the Knicks to still win this series?
Probably a stay away, just knowing that you talked about how no team thus far has won a home game in this series. And so, you know, I think you'd rather go on the exactas in some of those series prices. Mm-hmm. So if you think that Indiana can get it done, and by virtue of that idea, winning it on the road at MSG plus 220, kind of like where that's at, or you would anticipate this goes the distance for the Knicks to have to get it done, plus 330 in Game 7. If you think to me, I think it goes the distance now. And so I would take a shot at the exactas there. Plus 550 for Indiana, plus 330 there. You make money if it goes 7 for the Knicks. So that's the way I would look at it right now.
Who's the better goaltender? I thought Jake Ottinger was supposed to be the guy that's the better goaltender against Stuart Skinner in this Dallas and Edmonton series out west. But Skinner does it again. 36 saves, 6-1. Edmonton now 2-1 lead in this series. It does go over the total of 6.5, with 6 coming from, by the way, of Edmonton in this one. Connor McDavid with a couple goals here. Obviously, now you're waiting on Florida. They're going to play their Game 4 tonight. They could wrap it up. We might get a rematch of Edmonton and Florida in the Stanley Cup Finals. But could you look to the Dallas side and say, hey, boys, you gave up that Game 2, and that's a tough one. Now you got to go win on enemy ice. That could come tomorrow night because Dallas right now to win the series, plus 270. If they have the better goaltender right now, is that a playable number for you?
I would rather go to the Ottinger Conn Smythe 28-1 now, because if you would have to believe, right, that he is the reason why Dallas not only evens this series tomorrow, but also gets that momentum headed back into the Stars' favor. So I think that one playable. If you want to take the lottery ticket on Stuart Skinner, I'm not going to dissuade you from doing that at 60-1. But I think you illustrated it well. Connor McDavid plus $1.75. That's the way to go. Draisaitl, I think at 12-1 is still in there. If you think Edmonton not only goes on to win this series, but wins the cup. Anxious to get Rachel Dory's thoughts about that coming up in this 9:00 hour. One final thing to throw at you, because I know we have Carolina and Florida tonight.
Yep.
Buddy, I have seen some bad playoff performances. I don't know if we'll see a worse one than what Carolina has put out there. You hope that there's pride there. But I think I lean the over 5.5 tonight. I don't think the Panthers take their foot off the gas. I think if you really feel the urgency is going to be there from Carolina, maybe you play them in a first period. But buddy, I think we ladder this puck line, right? Florida's
Yes.
showing no signs of letting up.
I like that puck line play at plus $1.54. Brandon Valesky, our producer, played Florida as well, minus 2.5 goals here, layering that up. I'm not mad at you at that either because I could see that white flag coming if they fall behind early. And again, 0-15 in their last 15 attempts in the Eastern Conference Final. That is astounding. Like no winner in the NFC East, no repeat winner in over 2 decades. I don't know which stat is more bizarre that Carolina's 0-15 in the last 4 times they've been in the Eastern Conference Final. Without further ado, let's get to today's edition of News and or Noise.
Is it news
Corleone is a man who insists on hearing bad news immediately.
or just noise?
Are you going to act like this is news? Just noise. This is noise.
Let's separate the impactful from the insignificant with one simple question. News or noise?
We get it. Shohei does something nobody else does since Babe Ruth in Major League Baseball, right? Plays both ways, pitcher, hitter. By the way, the comparisons to Bambino for this are they're hysterical to me. That we're talking about something over 100 years ago, and now you got the next edition of it, and Shohei Ohtani. I'm surprised that it really hasn't happened before then, but he's throwing to live hitters for the first time in almost 2 years. Jensen, is this news or a lot of noise?
Oh, no, it's significant news because of the issues that the Dodgers have had overall from the injury bug into their rotation. You can parlay award winners on FanDuel, and right now Shohei Ohtani minus $1.15. If you parlay him with Aaron Judge to win the MVP in the American League, who is minus $30. Let me say it again. Minus 3,000 Aaron Judge is, and we're not to June 1st to win the MVP.
No, thank you.
If you want to parlay those together, that gets you to Shohei at minus $1.08, so you get 7 cents of improvement. Significant for some because if he shows through, and right now Shohei's minus $1.20 to win the MVP for DraftKings on the National League side. If he shows that he's competent pitching-wise, this is why I told you, Dave, what's the minimum amount of starts Shohei would have to go? 10 or 12 to basically lock up, the National League MVP. I mean, it just kind of is what it is, right?
Okay, and I'm with you. I've had these debates for years now, of he locks it up because he does something that nobody else can do. So by virtue of that, we can't have a nuanced conversation in the end. And this gets to those why we don't bet a lot of these awards. You can bet them. We're not saying don't bet them. We're telling you why sometimes Jensen and I don't bet them. Because these narrative streets that people go, man, well, he's the unicorn. So we have the unicorn has to win by virtue of nobody else is a unicorn. What if he's not good in those 10 to 12 starts, right? What if the ERA is, 450, north of that, right? I'm not saying it's going to be a 5. He's not going to get shelled. But let's just say it's very pedestrian. Does that take away from the fact that he does something nobody else does? Or do they go, no, even that, even a 4.47 ERA, because it's Shohei, that still is going to lock up as he is odds on to win the MVP?
That may give the escape hatch for some voters, Dave. If he is pedestrian on the pitching side,
right,
that might be what voters are looking for to say, yeah, but he's, this other guy, hey, Pete Crow Armstrong ends up with 45 home runs.
Oh my God.
Mean, again, you're looking, this is the exercise you go through. If you're not betting Ohtani, you're looking at, basically, okay, let's take Fernando Tatis Jr.'s 4-1. San Diego would have to overtake LA for the division, probably be the 1 seed, and Tatis probably get a hit 40 or more homers. Corbin Carroll probably could go 35 and 40 bags and hit over 300, and he's probably there. Pete Crow Armstrong, because of the market and where the Cubs are, if the Cubs find themselves in the top 2 seed, and he continues this assault on opposing pitching staffs, he's going to be in there because that's going to be the fun new toy. That's going to be the fun new thing to look at. And he's got personality. He's got a flair. That'll be in there. This is why we don't bet these markets, man. It is so subjective when it gets to that. But you are right. The exercise would be the door opening to someone else winning the National League MVP is if Ohtani comes back on the mound and he's very pedestrian statistically.
4 years ago, the Metropolitans made a trade with the Cubs. We got Javi Baez, got Trevor Williams in the deal, and gave away some prospect named Pete Crow Armstrong. Javi was a disaster in New York.
Hang in.
A disaster 4 years ago. Now he's 10-1 to win the MVP. PCAs. Great deal. I was telling my nephew about it, Steven. Come down from Seattle. You should come where you are in the country. It's better than staying on my couch, okay? It's an all-in summer hotel package, $400, all-in price. That means it's going to cover those resort fees and taxes, and that is something that goes on here in Las Vegas. Those are covered. $100 dining credit, $100 beverage credit, daybed at Stadium Swim. It's through September 4th when you go to circlelasvegas.com. That $400 all-in price for 2 nights, that is a fantastic deal.
This is your before and after story, where your first steps towards a new life-changing career begin. Southeastern College can take you there. We offer in-demand hybrid and online programs with hands-on training, led by in-field career professionals, and career services to put you on the path to a rewarding and fulfilling future. This is where your transformation begins. Southeastern College, your future is bright. Visit sec.edu to get started.